Sex trafficking is a huge issue in Mexico. There is an estimate 341,000 people live in modern slavery, and globally, almost 5 million people are being forced into sexual activities. Sex trafficking in Mexico violates human rights because they kidnap and force people into sexual activities. To fix the problem, the police are making border crossings harder to get through and increasing security, and they have cops and detectives whose only job is to find the traffickers. Sex trafficking is the process of illegally transporting people and forcing them into sexual activities that they don't want to do. It happens worldwide, but most people are brought from Mexico, and Tenancingo is one of the largest sex trafficking spots in Mexico and is like a hotspot for sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is a crime passed down through generations and cultural traditions. It is the way families make their money to live, but they ruin other people's lives as they do it. It is accepted in families that their children get inspired to be a pimp when they grow up. The traffickers look for young and poor mothers to kidnap to take them and their children and traffic them. The traffickers will become friends with a young, struggling mother and will date them or become close friends, then kidnap them. The gangs are like families that traffic people, and they have other family members that distribute and transport the victim. The kids that get recruited are then transported, then harbored, and entered child pornography. Then the kids that get trafficked answer to their pimps. This means victims have very difficult lives. They are poor, then get taken advantage of and kidnapped, and then are like sex slaves. People get involved in trafficking because there aren't a lot of good paying jobs and they get paid a lot of money for trafficking. They are either poor or in bad living conditions, can't find a good paying job, or they are born into being a trafficker. That forces them to start working for the traffickers, and they become the ones who kidnap the people. A good place that the traffickers kidnap people is in the Mexico Center because it is big and a lot of stuff is going on. One person disappearing in a crowd wouldn't be noticed, and they use the center for recruitment of people, then capture them and transport them to wherever they are going. Over the past 5 years, 400 victims have suffered from sex trafficking. Women and girls aged 15 to 25 living in impoverished areas in Mexico are being taken advantage of and being kidnapped and forced to do sexual activity. Women are being lured by false jobs as dancers, waitresses, also other jobs, and are being told to go somewhere, then are being kidnapped. They are also finding children in very bad, overcrowded conditions, and some were tied up. Children at the age of 3 were changing babies' diapers, and the babies had rashes all over them. Same with the little kids. A girl, Miranda, was 14 and she was kidnapped and brought to the U.S. from Mexico. She was brought to New York City and was forced into prostitution. She was seeing about 60 men a day for $35 each. Victims are brought from mostly Mexico because it is easy transport to the U.S., but they are also being brought from all over the world. The way they get kids from other countries is they say they are going to give them something when they get to the U.S. The children are promised a nice job or school opportunity, and they are promised their families will receive money. For every 3 victims, 2 are usually girls and 1 is a boy. They usually start at the age of 14. They are let go usually at the age of 25. So that's about 9 years you are being forced into whatever they want you to do. The way the victims are transported are in very bad conditions and have no food or water while they are traveling. As of April 2019, the government says more than 9,000 women are reported missing across Mexico. About 2,000 men and women are missing from the border at Chihuahua, which is in Mexico. For example, they were scanning tractor-trailer trucks at border stops and they found 198 people inside the back of it. They were wearing jackets and had blankets wrapped around them. 3 people were arrested for human trafficking. The police also found another truck with 102 people inside the back of the truck. They were all Central Americans and were all in wicked bad conditions, were dehydrated and were suffocating in the back of the truck. There were also a dozen of children in there with no parents. When someone goes missing, they usually turn up dead later or are found and have really bad PTSD of what they went through. Some police are trying to stop it, and the others are part of the problem and looking the other way. The International Labor Organization estimates that forced labor and human trafficking is a 150 billion industry worldwide. For over a decade, they have investigated 169 cases of human trafficking, but survivors aren't willing to talk to the authorities unless they find their child and make sure they are safe. Between 14,500 and 17,500 people are trafficked into the U.S. each year. Human trafficking is the third largest international crime industry behind illegal drugs and armed trafficking. It reportedly generates a profit of 32 billion every year. According to the US State Department, 600,000 to 800,000 people are trafficked across the international borders every year, of which 80% are females and the half are children. Drugs are used once and they are gone, but with children and adults, they are used over and over again and abused. Kids and women are being imprisoned and sold in every state in the U.S. Average years kids are missing and not being found is 7 years. They rarely find that kid alive, usually dead or never seen again. If they are found, they face a number of long-term health issues. They are facing sleeping and eating disorders, sexually transmitted diseases, drug addiction, fear, anxiety, guilt, and depression. They are also very skittish and fear having a lot of PTSD from what they went through. Their conditions on the truck were awful and had no food or water, very overcrowded, and no ventilation. They are putting up more police at the border crossings to try to stop the traffickers getting into the U.S. Police in Mexico arrested a woman who has been taking people for sex trafficking. She has been running it on the U.S. border from Mexico, and the police are saying that she is involved with the disappearance of 3 nurses this year. They hold the children of the women and will use the kids as leverage to make the women do what they want to. A lot of working men get accused of being traffickers, but the smugglers are paying them off. Like some smugglers will pay the border police and some other police to look the other way when they are trying to get to the U.S. The police that aren't getting paid off are trying to make it harder to cross through the border and trying to get rid of all those corrupt police looking the other way. They want to make it impossible for a truck to go into U.S. carrying people and children without it getting detected.